What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, I am covering you guys for this second Patriots OTA that is open to the media. Now, this isn't their first OTA practice. I did have you guys covered for that practice, which I'll link in the comment section below. I'll pin that there if you guys want to check that recap out. But the Patriots have been practicing since then, just hasn't been open to media, and this is the second OTA that has been open to the media. So let's just get in with the overall notes. So let's start with the guys that were absent. James White was absent today. N'Keal Harry absent. So first off, N'Keal Harry still absent. Something that's still not boding well for him. We're not seeing him in pictures. He wasn't there the first day open to media, and he's not there now. It really looks like N'Keal Harry just has not shown up at all to these practices, which again, we talked about this in the last OTA video. This is not boding well for N'Keal Harry at all. This just continues to be a super bad look for him, not just for the Patriots and the Patriots fan base and how it's looking to Robert Kraft and this coaching staff with Bill Belichick and whatnot, but it's also looking bad to other teams that might be interested in trading for him or might be interested in signing to him. At the very least, if you want to leave this team and join another team, at least go in with the thought of looking as good as you can so you can have a starting role in that team potentially. So you can at least get a decent contract, because at this point, you're even hurting your wallet. But Isaiah Wynn also absent. Looks like he's still holding out. Well, I don't want to say holding out, but still just not at these optional OTAs. Again, we'll see how the storyline continues to develop. Don't want to say holding out unless he's not there at minicamp and training camp, which are, of course, mandatory practices. Now, Trent Brown also wasn't there today, which obviously he was filling in for Isaiah Wynn at left tackle, so we'll kind of talk about that offensive line here shortly. Andrew Stuber also wasn't there. Chasen Hines wasn't there. So a lot of offensive linemen not present today. Matthew Judon, Devon Godchow, Byron Coward, Anthony Jennings, Quinn Nordine. All guys that were not there today, meaning, though, that Nick Folk was there. Limited, though, we have Dalton Keene, DeMarcus Mitchell, the UDFA, Raekwon McMillan, Jabril Peppers, and Brendan Schooler, the other UDFA. Now today, unlike other days, we didn't have anybody that was on the present but not participating list. And with that being said, guys that did return to practice that we did not see last time, guys like Ronnie Perkins, great to finally see him back. Lawrence Guy returned, Jelani Tavai, Adrian Phillips, and like I mentioned before, Nick Folk. Now, overall, today's practice wasn't something you're going to write home about. There really wasn't too much to take from it. In these OTA practices, there's usually not much you're going to take from them. Usually these OTA practices, from a media perspective, from a content creator perspective, you're really digging into every nook and cranny you possibly can to find some information and some storylines. But this was even worse. I mean, this was just a very, very non-competitive day, even for an OTA practice. And it was also a very short practice today. It was reported that it was only over an hour, just slightly over an hour. From what I've heard, the practices kind of went warm-up, light run, little bit of some offensive passing, 15-minute sprints, more light running, some more offensive passing. They went through some walkthroughs, and pretty much that was it. Nothing competitive. No 11-on-11s, 7-on-7s, or 3-on-3 drills. Now, today it looked like Matt Patricia was actually the one who was calling the plays during the full team walkthrough. And Bill Belichick today spent the majority of his time with the offense, something that's not surprising. We saw this during the first OTA. Today, though, he wasn't so much working with Mac Jones and the quarterbacks, although, he still was, but he was mainly working with the wide receivers and the tight ends today on their drills and running short routes, and yeah, that was pretty much the focus there with the wide receivers and tight ends today, and that's kind of what Bill Belichick was working on them with, was their route running, but more specifically the short routes. It was also said that Joe Judge and Nick Caley were rotating coaching groups today. And now moving on to the very little information we got here for each position. Some positions, of course, we won't have information, but quarterbacks, Mac Jones was very vocal during today's practice. Now, he's been vocal all offseason, especially from what we've seen so far. But it was made note that today specifically, he was very, very vocal during practice. He went over to the offensive coaches after every drill. I'm guessing that doesn't usually happen. As for running backs, the only note that was given was that Steve Belichick, who works with the safeties and coaches the safeties and is one of the Patriots defensive coordinators, air quote, you know, kind of with that whole Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo, two defensive coordinator hit right there, but not official. But said that he was working as a running back today during the offensive walkthroughs, which not really sure why that was noted, but still interesting nonetheless to hear. Now, we didn't get any information on wide receivers or tight ends, but offensive line, as I talked about earlier, with a lot of guys being out, you know, Isaiah Wynn, Chent Brown, Andrew Stuber, Chasen Hines. The first team offensive line today was Yanni Kajus, Cole Strings, David Andrews, Michael Onwenu, and Justin Herron. Moving on to the defense here, Ronnie Perkins appeared to receive the most reps, of course, with relevant players, also known as the starters, or at least projected starters, in any practice so far with the team since he was drafted. Of course, Ronnie Perkins did stay in Boston all offseason because he wants to take on the biggest role possible with the Patriots for this upcoming season, so looks like that could be boding really well for him, and yeah, Ronnie Perkins going to be a guy to watch in minicamp and training camp for sure. We got no information on linebackers or cornerbacks or special teams. So lastly, for the safeties, Bill Belichick was a defender in walkthroughs. If you guys didn't see, he was out there in shorts. He was getting really into it in practices today. I mean, I'm not just talking about coaching. I'm just talking about he was getting in there as a player, different positions and everything. And it sounds like Bill wasn't the only one. Like this coaching staff is getting physical with these players. They're getting in the game, not just vocal. But like I mentioned, Bill Belichick was a defender today in practice. He actually dropped into zone coverage even on a few occasions. Man, I wish that we got videos of that because that would have been a sight to see. And I doubt that's something that we're going to be seeing in training camp. Or at least the training camp that's open to the media. Now, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of the channel, betonline.ag. Our partners over at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures, guys. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and, of course, your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's really easy to get started. All you guys have to do is head to the website or even use your mobile device to sign up today using that promo code CLNS50 to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. But this is going to be a recap for Patriots practice on May 31st, which is the second OTA practice that was open to the media, but not the Patriots' overall second OTA because they have had OTA practices since then, unfortunately just not open to the media. But what are your guys' thoughts on the notes that were given today from practice? Let me know in the comment section below how you're feeling. What did you guys take away from today's practice notes? And of course, remember to subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news, but I will catch you guys next time, and go Pats.